Joining me now is Manoj Bhargava, founder and CEO of Cerezen. His company is also the largest shareholder of our parent company, the Arena Group. Manoj, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So Manoj, Cerezen is a medical device used to treat dementia and Alzheimer's. It just received certification for usage in the EU. We'll get to all of that. But first, for those who haven't heard of it yet, for those who aren't familiar, what exactly is it and how does it work to treat Alzheimer's or dementia?
Well, it's a treatment. Dr. Alzheimer's, the guy who this is named after, thought it was a cardiovascular problem. So it's a vascular problem. And so we looked at what can we do to enhance vascular. So there's a treatment which involves cuffs. And what it does is enhances blood flow to the brain, right? And it's like watering a plant. If you don't water it, you have a problem. So if you water it, chances are it'll do something good for the plant. And so that's basically how it works. It sends blood flow to the brain. Actually, it's pretty simple.
How soon do patients typically notice results?
It's within a few weeks. We've had in some cases where we've reversed Alzheimer's. And in fact, actually, the first person, we had a small trial of 4 people, and then one person actually reversed, so they became functional. And we took that person to the FDA, and they said this is the first time ever that somebody has reversed. And so they gave us breakthrough status.
I was going to say, we're used to treatments that slow the decline, but reversal is unheard of. So what is it that you actually saw? I'm curious.
Well, people become basically non-functional at some point, where you're just sitting there, right? What we did basically was water the plant. I mean, the best analogy is a plant that, if you don't water it, the leaves turn yellow after a while, or they turn brown and it dies. So if you water it, all of a sudden, the leaves are back to growing and back to green. A lot of the people who think, a lot of the scientists seem to think that if you inject green into the yellow leaf, it'll fix it. Or you could just water the plant. That's what this really is. It's kind of simple. If you don't have blood flow to the brain, all kinds of bad things happen. Think about it. What blood flow does is takes away trash from the brain. All of a sudden, it's not working as well. And you collect trash in the brain. And what did you think was going to happen? So it's based on, I mean, I'm being simplistic here, but that's how much I understand it, is that it's simple. It's blood flow. And so that's the fundamental of it. And so its side effects are they're the same side effects you would have, walking on a treadmill. So no open wounds and no aneurysm. And that's pretty much it for no side effects.
So a simple explanation, but we know that Alzheimer's has been one of the toughest diseases to treat effectively. So I guess what makes Cerezen's approach different from what other traditional pharmaceutical or drug-based therapies are doing?
Well, first of all, scientists tend to, in my opinion, like complicated answers. So instead of a friend of mine who's one of the top guys in the world in cancer, and he says, you need to first treat wellness. In other words, if wellness starts dropping, all kinds of diseases show up, right? So what we did, blood flow is one of the fundamentals of being in health. So we looked at and said, how do we increase wellness? In other words, wellness is sort of your brain is getting all the blood flow it requires. And so the answer is really simple. And we've really noticed, I mean, scientists don't get to write papers on simple solutions. They want complicated stuff, One guy says it's amyloids. And it's amyloids which is like a yellow leaf, right? We're going to inject something to make it not yellow. And in fact, some people have said in the FDA that if it doesn't have amyloids, it's not Alzheimer's. So even though you have exactly the same symptoms, it's like going to a doctor saying, I have a headache, and the guy says, no, you don't. So Alzheimer's has these symptoms. And some of these guys say, if you have all of the symptoms, but if you don't have amyloids, it's not Alzheimer's. Well, that's pretty silly. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, the chance is pretty much that it's a duck.
So Cerezen just received EU certification. Congratulations on that. However, the US FDA has not yet approved the device. You mentioned that back, in 2021, they gave it breakthrough device status. But what's going on there? Why the delay? When can we start to see this here in the US?
I think the simple one-word answer would be politics. And it's politics within scientists. Scientists, if most people don't know this, but universities, which is full of professors and scientists guys, are more political than Washington, right? So if it's doesn't fit into their little bucket, they say no, can't be right. And so the politics is, if you're fixing things, what's your problem? And it has no side effects. What's the problem? But we actually went to the FDA first, did everything they said. In fact, people in the FDA said, this is, you've got great data. All of a sudden, it's the bureaucrats' answer to no. Instead of saying no, they'll say, well, we need more data. Now, for any other device, it would have been no problem. But Alzheimer's is highly political, so we got politics.
Political because of the pharmaceutical interests protecting this, upwards of $400 billion market? That's what you think it is? Because we know that Alzheimer's kills, more people than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. You would think that there would be a push to try to find something that not just slows the effects, but also reverses them.
Yeah. Well, I don't actually think it's Big Pharma that's coming in and saying, don't do this. It's the politics of scientists who have their little opinion, and that's it. You can't cross that. We've seen that before. So the interesting thing is that the FDA approves stuff. So there's a chance to have a lot more politician to be politics, right? Whereas the EU says, look, we're going to send the work out to a contractor. Now, a contractor just does the work. He has no politics. And so the system of getting approval is better over there. But it is a shame that, we're going to be approved in the EU, and then US guys are just sitting there because politics is going to kill it.
So the FDA is requesting more data. How long could that take? And if FDA approval came tomorrow, how quickly could Cerezen be rolled out here in the US?
Well, first question is, how long could it take? Forever. The bureaucrat worldwide, this is not just US, the bureaucrat never says no. He says, give me more information. Give me more information. And that could go on for decades. There's no end to it. There's never enough. And if he says no and something happens, he gets yelled at. So he never says no. So a delay is a no. How long it lasts depends how strong the politicians are. I'm sorry, what was the next question? There was a two question.
If you got approval tomorrow, how soon could it be rolled out?
It's going to be centers, so it'll be a few months. We've got one center ready to go now. And we'll roll it out pretty fast. Within a year, you could have hundreds of centers.
How expensive will Cerezen be for patients? And do you anticipate insurance or government health systems, assuming approval, covering it? And I guess what will go on in Europe?
It'll be, Europe and here will pretty much be the same thing. The current, you have to look at what everybody's doing now, right? The current state of Alzheimer's drugs is a system where first they do all kinds of tests on you. The total costs are somewhere in the $500,000 per year. Ours is, the pricing would probably be in the 20-something thousand, but we give you, that's annually. So we treat you like 50 times for that. So first seven weeks, it's 5 days a week. And then after that, it's a maintenance program. So meanwhile, dementia or Alzheimer's is the most expensive disease in the country because once you get it, the only way to get out of it is to die. So it costs over $200 billion a year, whereas the most expensive next one, you would think would be bigger, would be the heart. And it's less than 100 billion. So it's the most expensive and it's the most miserable disease there is. It wrecks two people's lives, the person who has it and the caregiver. So it's something everybody should try for. Look, if people want it and this news gets out, they should contact somebody, a congressman or whoever, to say, what are you doing? Why don't we have it? Now, I'm speaking the truth because if it doesn't happen, it doesn't harm me. But all these people that really need it are being kept from it.
All right, so just final thoughts. We have to wrap up. But given the massive economic toll of Alzheimer's among, just the broader mental toll on caregivers as well, how could a treatment like this change all of that?
Well, look, if it even stops it for some people, reverses it for others, the results are way better than everybody else, okay? And it has no side effect. Some of the side effects that these guys have with the drugs is makes your brain expand and bleed, and you're in pain, but you're alive. That's not an answer. So I think it'll affect the lives of, in this case, at least 2 people per patient. The caregiver is it's a horrible disease. It's one thing you don't want to have, ever. I mean, none of us is not afraid of it. We're all afraid of that. So I think it'll affect more. It'll affect it in terms of health of people, but it'll also affect in terms of, think about it. If you, government always talks over 10 years of cost. This will save $1 trillion over 10 years. I mean, why wouldn't you look at it?
Mm-hmm. All right, we will leave it there, but we'll continue the conversation. Manoj Bhargava, founder and CEO of Cerezen, thank you so much.
Thank you.